to Storytime with Paul and Monica, where we share with you just a little piece of our writing. This time you'll hear one of Monica's stories entitled A Dark Night in India. It begins like this. Greedy tongues of fire lapped at the dark night. Shadows danced across the mourners' faces. The smoke glowed in the orange fire as the priest waved his incense. A rich, woody scent from the sandalwood filled the air. People gathered around a pyre. On top of that pyre was a dark form about 5.5 feet long. A man dressed in white stepped out of the crowd with a torch in his hand. He circled the funeral pyre. Kneeling, he stretched his torch to the bottom of the logs. With a whoosh, the flames engulfed the wood. The crowd of men and women began to wail and sob. A man wearing a white cloth wrapped around his waist led them in chants and songs. When I looked at their faces and heard their cries, I felt a sinking inside of me. Their grief was so strong and their pain so intense that I could almost feel it as my own. They're mourning the death of their teenage son, my friend John told me. The hopelessness on the people's faces made me so sad. I remembered funerals I had been to before. Those funerals were sad too, but the people at the funerals knew their friend or family member was going to be with Jesus. They didn't need to fear hurting a beloved friend or relative who had died and been reborn as something else, like an insect or an animal. They will wait for the fire to burn the body to ashes, my friend said. It will take a couple of days. They believe that if the body is completely destroyed, the spirit will be free to return in a different body. Otherwise, they're afraid the spirit may haunt them. The night air chilled me as we drove to his home later that evening. Goosebumps crawled up my arms and back. Or maybe those shivers down my back were from what I was seeing and hearing. I spent several days in India and never forgot that first night.
I remember when